The wrong door. It was 4:03 a.m. when Alex Monroe, bone tired and cradling his crying 5-year-old daughter in his arms, stumbled up a quiet cul-de-sac just outside of Portland. Rain soaked through his hoodie, and the only sound besides little Lily's sniffles was the slosh of his shoes on the pavement. The GPS had crashed, his phone had 2% battery, and the cheap motel he'd booked had double. Booked the room? With nowhere left to go, he was banking on the kindness of a high school friend who'd said, "Anytime, man, doors always open." But Alex, sleep, deprived and overwhelmed from a long, sudden move across the country after a rough divorce, knocked on the wrong door. He didn't know it yet. The porch light flicked on, a soft shuffle echoed inside, then the door opened slowly, and a woman, maybe in her late 40s, stood in a blue robe, her eyes widening. Alex winced. Sorry, wrong house. I thought this was Brad Jeller's place. My kid and we've had a long night." But the woman didn't close the door. Instead, she looked at Lily, who now clung to Alex's neck, sleepy and scared. Then the woman whispered something that froze him in place. "I've waited since 1996 for this." Her name was Miriam Carter, and she invited them in before Alex could protest. Inside, the house smelled like cinnamon and cedar. Pictures lined the walls, mostly of landscapes and dogs, but one, above the fireplace, caught his eye, a faded Polaroid of a young woman holding a baby in a hospital room. "You sure you want us here?" Alex asked cautiously. "We can find somewhere else once the sun's up." Miriam shook her head, making tea in the kitchen. "You don't need to rush off, I think. This is exactly where you're meant to be." When Lily finally fell asleep on the couch wrapped in a patchwork quilt, Alex sat at the kitchen table, still unsure what had just happened. Miriam sat across from him, fingers wrapped around a steaming mug. "I lost my son," she said softly. "His name was Jamie. He was born in 1996 and placed for adoption. I was young, scared, alone. I wasn't ready. They told me he went to a good family, that he'd have a better life." Alex listened, unsure why she was telling him this. His own story was rough. Deadbeat dad, crushing debt, starting over in a new city where no one knew him. But Miriam continued, "I've been volunteering for a local shelter since, helping young moms, just trying to give back. Some nights I dream a knock will come, that he'll show up needing me." Her eyes met his. "You knocked with your daughter, and I knew. I couldn't save my son back then, but maybe I can help someone else's." They stayed just one night, but in that night something shifted. In the morning, Miriam handed him a folded piece of paper. On it were contact, temporary housing programs, schools, a mechanic willing to check his old Civic for free, even a job lead at a local bakery. "I didn't do much," she said. "You have no idea what you did." Alex replied, tears close to spilling. Weeks passed. Alex found work. Lily started school. They stayed in touch. One Sunday morning, over pancakes in a crowded diner, Lily looked up at him and said, "Can we visit Miss Miriam today? She feels like family." And she was. A year later, in a small backyard garden wedding attended by a handful of friends and one curious golden retriever, Miriam walked Lily down a grassy aisle holding a bouquet she'd picked herself. She wasn't just the woman who opened the door at 4 a.m. She became the answer to a prayer neither of them knew they'd made. Final note: sometimes the wrong door is the right one. Sometimes kindness isn't flashy. It's quiet, warm, and opens at 4 in the morning when the world feels heavy. And sometimes people who think they're broken are exactly what someone else needs to begin healing. Never underestimate the power of showing up, even when it's dark, even when you weren't expecting company. Because someone might just be knocking on your door, and you might be the miracle they didn't know they were searching for.